So I'm here with Scott Taylor of Mason Hill. For anybody who haven't heard of them, they're I guess, a better known band than they were 6 months ago.
We're getting there.
Yeah, based out of Glasgow. And I first saw you supporting Dan Reed Network a few years ago.
Oh, that was fun. That was our first. That was like our first tour. Getting out, like doing more than like maybe 4 shows in a row together. That was really good. It was really good, sir.
That's cool. Okay, I shall start with my question. What question are you the most annoyed at being asked at the moment?
How have we been keeping busy during COVID? That's probably the most annoying question, because like, what's the answer? Do you know what I mean? Like, what else am I meant to be doing? Stuck in the house all day.
But you're in Glasgow. You're pretty much used to that for 6 months of the year, aren't you?
Exactly. People don't understand this, like it rains that hard and that heavy that you are trapped in your house for months at a time. It's no different.
Can you give us a little bit of background about the band, of how long you've been together, who are the other members, etc.?
Yeah, so Mason Hill formed maybe about 8 years ago. Me and James Bird, the guitar player, we'd known each other from school, so we were connected musically, and from teenagers just trying and failing at bands. So we started Mason Hill. We found Craig McFettridge on an online advertisement somewhere. I think it was Gumtree. It was something weird like that. And he came out. He was the only person that came, and he was the best, and that was it. Trivia for people that want to know more about the band. Me, James, and Craig, the first time we ever played together, just did not like it. It was horrible. He walked away hating us, and we walked away like, no, we're going to find someone else. And then you're like, wow. And now he's the perfect guy. Matthew Ward, bass player, he came in because we had an original bass player that left, and he was known around the scene. He was in a band called Attica Rage before that had, got to kind of decent levels in their career. So he was kind of known around Glasgow. So he kind of just fell in, really. He's the type of person that would be in more than one band. So we were like the side project, and then we kind of became big enough and then that was his main thing, you know what I mean? And then finally, throughout that whole time, I was playing guitar, not very well. My left-handed guitar, it was just a nightmare. So we kind of decided, let's push me in front of the crowd. Let's see if I can be a front man, and let's get someone on the guitar to take me over. And that's when Mark Montgomery, he'd been, I can't remember if he was like the merch guy or if he was kind of like sometimes playing with the King Lot. He was like connected in with the King Lot. And that's how he became apparent with James, and then, came in. And long story short, that was him. I think in 2018, and for the last 3 years, we have just been rocking and rolling.
He's a little bit small for King's Lot.
Sorry?
He's a bit small for King's Lot. He looks quite scrawny on the side.
But yeah, he's the tallest in our band as well.
So what are your influences? And kind of aside to that, it's like, when you've been compared to other bands, what has been the most complimentary and what has been the most surprising?
Most complimentary, the main two that I get is Chris Cornell and Miles Kennedy. And I don't see either of them, and I never will. They're just too good at what they do. But that's like two extremely complimentary people to be like sort of compared to by fans that have seen us after the show, and they're just talking and saying these things, which is weird, to hear. The weird surprising one, I've actually had this a few times, and no one will ever convince me that these people are right. Ozzy Osbourne. And I'm an Ozzy Osbourne fan. I've got nothing against Ozzy Osbourne. I just know I don't sound like Ozzy Osbourne. That's all. He's very unique and distinct. You know what I mean? And me and James especially grew up with like Ozzy Osbourne and stuff. We're massive Zakk Wylde fans and that kind of thing. So I love hearing it, but it's like, really? You heard Ozzy Osbourne? Fair enough.
Who do you think you sound like? Or what do you hear in your music when you're writing it?
I hear, so sometimes when I'm writing a song, I try and imagine a professional singer singing it, and it can help move that process. So for instance, when I wrote Where I Belong, I hear Miles Kennedy singing that, and I hope he never tries the song because he'll do it better than me, and that'll be it. That'll be game over. So like you've raised a good point. Sometimes I try and imagine who I want to be singing it on. You know, when I'm trying to be maybe a bit more modern vocal sounding, I'll think, right, let's write a part that Ollie Sykes would sound really good singing, you know, who's got a completely different voice and a completely different sort of area, and then try and bring all of that into one. I know it's not entirely possible, but it just seems to be what Mason Hill's becoming, is trying to find the best of classic and modern rock and put it together instead of just 100% one or the other.
Yeah, I know when I sort of listening to the album, there's kind of bits of sort of 30 Seconds from Mars, kind of some definite Linkin Park, just in the way, in kind of more the vocal stylings than anything else. But then there's kind of other bits where you're like, I know that sounds familiar, but I have no idea why.
Yeah, and I guess it's just we're blessed by having so much history of music to look at, you know? Like the guys in the 80s were so good and amazing at what they do. But they only had the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s to look at, you know what I mean? And, you know, we have all of that, and we have the last 40 years. That music just seems to be so diverse, and I feel like all genres these days we're sort of like mixing and matching. Like you'd be hard pushed to go through a lot of pop songs without sometimes hearing a bit of rock now, for instance. Everything's sort of, and I feel like that's good. I feel like you shouldn't write a song based on a genre. You should just write your song.
Yeah, but it's good that the lines are kind of getting more blurred as the kind of more obscure, or what would be more obscure genres are becoming more mainstream, but also as people try to pigeonhole everything, you kind of make more genres, therefore there's less gap between them.
Yeah, I was never a person that was into these weird subgenres. It's like I'm a rock, metal, pop, jazz, blues, R&B. You know, like funk, like I'll stick to my cores the moment we start getting into like mathcore and stuff like that. I don't mind the music. I would say it's metal. I'm just a bit too simplistic in that regard, but I don't know, you know, it's if people want to have sub genres, go for it, I guess.
I guess there's also the fact you might insult somebody if you say they're thrash metal and they're not thrash metal. They claim they're not.
But it's like music is subjective, you know. Like the two people I said to you, all like Miles Kennedy and Ozzy Osbourne, have been compared to them on the same night in the same show. That's why the two of them always stick out in my head.
Yeah.
People listen to something and just get a totally different. It's almost like they hear something else than what you would hear. It's amazing. That's why I love music.
Yeah, it's all good. Okay, kind of a weird. Still talking about music. What would you class as your guilty pleasures? Not to be embarrassed by, but those kind of, if you said it to somebody, they'd look at you and go, "What? How do you like that?"
Yeah. Okay. I'm great at this. Honestly, I'm so diverse in my music that there's stuff I like. People will. I guarantee I'll lose a fan for this. BTS, the K-pop bands,
Yeah.
I respect them. I think the songs that they can do and the dance routines and all that together is absolutely amazing. I'm not crazy. Like I love rock still more, obviously, but I appreciate it so much. And my other guilty pleasure is always Phil Collins. Always.
Phil Collins is definitely a divider.
He is a divider, but do you know what? He's got enough music. There's a song that he's wrote or wrote in Genesis that you would like. There's at least one, I guarantee you. There's too many songs and they're too diverse.
There was a point in the late 90s, I'm not sure if it is now, but where every sort of rock compilation album would have one Genesis song, one Phil Collins song. And you're sort of going, they're kind of the same. Don't do that unless you're going to put sort of the early Genesis on there. You don't want another Genesis. You don't need the Genesis song.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. After Peter Gabriel left, it was like the Phil Collins show, I guess. I mean, in a way, but I just love the rock voice in a pop world, and I think it really worked. And you know, people may laugh at me and say, "Ah, he's rubbish" and all that, Well, if you like the album that I wrote, there's inspiration from him in there, and certain vocal lines that I do. When I go high and maybe a wee bit classic rocky, sometimes that's the Phil Collins speaking, because that's what he done. He was like, you take away like the pop bands behind him, and you maybe put like Def Leppard guys behind him. He would have worked with it. He just had this great voice.
I think it's just kind of that weird things like, okay, Ryan Adams is not really somebody you want to talk to, but it's that weird that when he did the cover of 1989, there were lots of people saying this is great, this is brilliant album, but forgetting the fact that all of the songs were written by Taylor Swift. And you're thinking, he's singing Taylor Swift songs, so you can't say this is a great Ryan Adams album. It's like he's just reimagined something that something you're classing as pop and throwaway has written. So you could.
You'd be surprised. Like, we all like to slam the big artists, but you'd be surprised at their songwriting catalogue. Not all of them are just people that they get told what to do and go do it. You know, like Ed Sheeran's writing catalogue is scary. Bruno Mars' writing catalogue for other artists is actually insane. That team are responsible for so many number ones. You know, like there is actual talent there, and you know, and you can't be surprised. I mean, that's my perspective of this was shattered when I heard a song by Justin Bieber and I thought, that's all right. I didn't know it was Justin Bieber. That's when my perspective of that was shattered. I thought, right,
yeah.
You know?
There's a One Direction song which was covered on one of Lizzie's cover EPs, and then I realised it was One Direction. I was like, that's not good. I've been avoiding them like the plague.
Exactly, but you know, sometimes these super groups, these big pop things, sometimes they get it right and they make a beautiful piece of music, and that's what I live for. I don't care who's done it. I mean, you know, you can laugh at my Phil Collins, but after Phil Collins is over, I'll put on Pink Floyd, I'll put on James Taylor, you know, I'll put on other really, really amazing artists as well, because I just love music and I love it in all forms. Melody is just so cool.
Yeah, super. Of the round of the tours you've done recently, in kind of the last 3 years, with a nice year's gap, who's been your favourite band to tour with, be it a second support band or the actual headliner?
That's a hard one. Everyone's so nice, but I mean, probably Dan Reed. I'd probably have to go with Dan Reed. He just went above and beyond. Just basically paid us more than he should have, and that alone for a band's kind of first tour, like going out there and, you know, being a nobody and stuff, like how cool is that? I mean, that takes a nice guy. That's money that's coming out of his pocket, and he went for that, and he offered us a lovely deal that we couldn't refuse. And yeah, and I'll never forget stuff like that, you know, because before we even knew what was happening, you don't know who Dan Reed is, and we were thinking, is it going to be Bions or any of that sort of thing, and then to find out it's not, and you know, he's actually giving you a position to break even for your shows, which is amazing at this stage. Like, yeah, stuff like that you can't forget. So yeah, Dan Reed's in the network.
What part of your upcoming tour sort of excites you most, be it just being out on the road or the venues you're getting to play, or the delight of going out again with Hollow Star?
Yeah, exactly. No, that'll be fun with those guys. I mean, there's so much to look forward to, honestly, with it. As you say, just getting out there and playing in front of people again will be the main one. But I guess if I have to choose one, it's that it will be the Glasgow Garage. Because we attempted that a few years ago, the Glasgow Garage, and we sold out the floor. Mm-hmm. And we were so extremely ecstatic and jumping and joy and stuff like that. But this time I think we're doing it proper, and I think we're selling out the whole place. And you know, there's not many bands that can do that, and that is amazing. And I can't actually believe it. So that's the one I'm like most excited and nervous for, because I remember the last time and it was just chaotic, and there's going to be more people there. I know the Hollow Star boys will absolutely love that show. I don't know if they've came up to Glasgow yet with like it's going to be a massive show. I can't believe it.
I think they did they kind of did stereo or something a few years back. So they've done
Awesome.
kind of the smaller venues.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they like that, they're going to jump on the garage. It's so good. It's where I seen my bands that I loved growing up. This is where I seen Five Finger Death Punch on their first album before they weren't anyone. You know what I mean? They weren't. I don't think they were even the main band. I think they were supporting another metal band that is now gone out of my mind. I want to say Shadows Fall or something. And it's like you think about that and you think like, wow, now that's me up there. That's so weird. That's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the sort of iconic venues of Glasgow now, especially with the ABC next door being no longer, unfortunately.
Exactly, and it's like the final barrier that we need to break before we do what we've always wanted to do, which is the Battlelines. That's where we're going for next time. We're going to we just have to. That's
yeah,
been a dream.
Who cares about the SCC or whatever it is? It's like Battlelines is far more important.
Exactly. It's just a culture thing, you know. Like in Glasgow, you know, it's if you can do what Gun do and sell out that Battlelines, then damn, you know. And that's like a wee goal that we've talked about for a few years trying to get. And you know, each year comes by and we get a tiny bit closer to it. And we just can't stop now. So next turn and get right back out for another one.
Back to your album. I know that you did like 5 different vinyl versions.
Yeah.
Have you all now got each of them on your walls?
No, I mean, I've got the blue one and I've got the regular one. I'm not stuck them in the wall yet. I know James did. James went and got every single one of them. I don't know. I'm not the most sentimental in life about things like that. I just it's in here, and knowing that all this happened, and that will just keep me going through, you know, all the dark times that are coming. It's just so cool. I love the vinyls. I love that, you know, there's some that are sold out now. Like the red one, I don't know if we'll ever do the red one again. That's an antique now, you know what I mean? I think there was only like 100 made or something, or 200. And it's just really, really weird. Like we've been at this for so long, do you know what I mean? So long. That this year is actually just knocked us on our ass. Like in here, it's actually just knocked us on our ass. We've seen more activity in the last 6 months than we've seen in the last 6 years, and you're like, whoa. And you know, like vinyls, like because like so they came to us about the vinyls, and we were like, it's not a bit much. Like what? Like there's so many, and they're like, no, this product's good. We're going to get these vinyls looking great. Just shush, trust us. And we did, and you know, and it looks so cool now, and I'm so happy we did that. We really get a lot of good lessons from management in the last year to really kind of help us step up to this almost professional level.
I'm probably one of many who's a complete sucker for the indie only version as well. So I've got the one from Rough Trade with Face.
Is that the blue face?
Yeah.
So that looks the coolest on vinyl. Like on the player, that one looks the coolest. Yeah, we got one of them for Shannon's parents. I'm sure we got one of them. I bought like one of each and like gave them to people. Just why not?
Exactly. And even if they don't never play them, they look really cool.
They do. They look so much cooler than the CD. I mean, the CDs look cool as well, but like, there's no comparison onto the vinyl. It's just big. It's just cool. It really is.
And it's going back to that whole kind of 70s artwork thing as well. So
exactly. Like we are living in the modern age, but there's still a lot of people that want that physical, tangible thing. And as long as there's still people that want that, we'll make sure to do like physical releases of everything until people just tell us, no more.
With the exception of Dan Reed, who you've already spoken, is there anybody else you sort of feel is a really big proponent of your music and you'd want to kind of name them if you were to get an award?
I mean, there's a few people like that they don't even know that they helped. You know what I mean? Like Miles Kennedy, Alter Bridge has inspired every single one of us in different ways. You know what I mean? Throughout our teenagers, from me and James, Mark especially. Mark is Alter Bridge daft. And these people don't realize, you know, that they give information and experience and education through their stuff. You know, whether it be their music, whether it be their behind the scenes videos talking about their gear and all that, and their thought processes and all this rubbish. Like, they don't understand that it's actually very helpful in that. Yeah, who I would thank so much is the mixer Chris Sheldon that came in and done it, because of the level that he took the album to. It's further than we imagined. Especially with like the rhythm section with the drums and the bass, what he was able to do and bring them out was actually insane, because we have an amazing rhythm section and they have to be heard, and he made them heard. So I'm always thankful for that, because I don't understand mixing, and he's a wizard.
You want him to take him with you on tour so he can just sit there and do the same for you?
Exactly. Oh, I think our sound guy would fight with him though. I think it would be a fight. Sound guys, they're personal. Like, you stay away from their stuff. they have a checklist.
Is there any one question that you after all you finish that you go, why has somebody not asked me this? What else of that information that you feel that you really want to share, but you've never found a way to do it?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if there's been a question when I'm a bit like, why wouldn't you ask that? I'm trying to think. I genuinely don't know. I actually don't think so. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. The number of lives you've done with the fans as well. It's kind of a lot of the questions, sort of the weird questions, have probably already been asked by the fans.
I've been asked so many weird questions in my life. I genuinely can't think of one that I've been like, why is no one asking me this? They seem to be covering them all in great detail. That's all I do now is questions.
Will the dinosaur suit be coming on tour, or is that now in storage for the next record release?
It could be. I mean, I'm not adverse to it. It could be. We're slowly starting to think of what's our show going to be like. You know, we've got ideas. Where it's going to be our biggest show yet, with, you know, more props and stuff like that. And we're going to hit it a bit big. I don't know where we're going yet, but, you know, you may see the dinosaur suit. You may see the masks come back. You may see something, you know, that that marks a return. It's going to be a triumphant return. I can't wait for it.
Has Craig got a riser on his list so that everybody can see him?
I'm sure he does that. I'm sure he's already mentioned. It's already mentioned that. Already looking into wee extra props for his kit as well. He's thinking of maybe getting a couple of bass drops in there and stuff like that for the show. Really, really get that bassness into you between parts. Yeah, we're thinking about it. You know, bigger light shows. You know, all that kind of. We're going. We're not going to go too crazy, but we're going to put more effort than we ever have into it.
I'm sure the face has to be on the backdrop as well. So.
Oh yeah. Big backdrop, all that, all the artwork colorings coming out. Basically, you're going to see a lot of yellow. You're going to see a lot of yellow this tour, whether it be us or the fans. Like, it's just going to be so much yellow, and I love it.
Just make sure there's not too much so that the photographers hate you.
Oh yeah. I've got enough problems in life. I'm so sorry.
Yellow's better than red anyway.
Exactly right. I love it.
Is there? I know that you, with the album's been kind of making roads into kind of France and Germany. Is there anywhere that you're hoping to kind of push so that you could do sort of Europe tour, or maybe bigger?
Yeah, everything that I want is happening 50% more than I ever expected it to. It's going crazy. No, we're looking to branch out into like at least a third or half of Europe next year. And we're looking at the States, because the States are picking us up quite well, which is quite unexpected, and we're kind of going with that. And yeah, like, you know, the guys are, this is kind of the time where the guys are thinking about, you know, what we're doing full time with our lives. You know, we're going to be out on the road a lot. We have a lot of countries to see. We have a lot of stuff to do. Europe and America, we're coming. Next 18 months.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, is if you can get the radio play, that's half the battle. Because exactly. if nobody hears you, there's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly, but we've got an amazing team behind all of that. It's crazy, you know. There's more team than bands now.
That's the important thing, and then of course the fans to get the word out and wander around in their hoodies.
Exactly, it's all coming. It's all coming together. We're honestly so excited for it. It's just been a whirlwind. Nothing's really settled in our brains yet, but you know, hopefully once the tour's over, we can like just kind of sit back and go, whoa, what a year.
My last question, is you sort of Best of You became part of the kind of the sort of the talks with the lives with the fans, and that's your latest single. Is that kind of a thank you to the fans in order to say, look, this here you can have this thing, or was this kind of like, actually this is something different, we love this song and we'll hold off releasing anything else from the album for now?
It was a bit of both. It was a song that got developed during COVID, trying to get the cover right, because we needed content basically. And you know, we love the song. We love Foo Fighters. We tried a few things. That was the song that worked, and we just wanted to keep it there. It's not a replacement for new music, and we are looking into new music. More singles being released very quick. Actually, we're doing a whole thing, so it wasn't to replace anything. It was just extra. It's this what you see from us over the next 2 years. Is we're going for it. We're going for album 2. We're going for everything. We're just going nuts, and taking this chance that we have that not many people get, with the exposure that we've had this year. So yeah, literally just more content is coming.
I guess the advantage that with the album being recorded like 2 years ago now, you've kind of got you've probably written in the entire new album in between, just
basically, yeah, we've been writing constantly, and that's kind of getting developed now while we're doing all this kind of press that we're doing, which is awesome.
Thank you very much, and it was really good to talk to you, and hopefully we'll see you out on the road in September.
Yeah,
and the London one's October, isn't it? I think it's it's one of the last dates.
I think so. I honestly can't remember, but I'm sure you're right. I'm sure it's in I know there's too much going on. Honestly, my head's fried nowadays. I'm going right for an interview right now. Oh.
It was one of those I looked at, because I was doing my normal going, this has to be the most random collection of that kind of go. So let's go south before we go north, and then let's go south again because we need to drive some more. But at least all your Scottish dates together.
Exactly. No, everything's been booked for 2 years. So that's what that has been. You know, we're just taking the places that we can get right, because there's such a queue that everywhere's just booked.
I just happened to notice that it was kind of you doing Blackpool to London.
Yeah,
which made me chuckle slightly. That'd be a fun drive.
I know. I'm so sorry. I've got to go. I've literally got another video right now. Please forgive me, Claire, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. Let's speak with you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.